Alright, hey guys, welcome to another BMS tutorial for the Wolfpack. And in this tutorial we're going to be talking about sorting targets on the ground before you even get up in the air. And for this flight we're the 35th, our home base is Kunsan, and we're attacking some SAMs over here to the northwest. Interesting thing about this target area is that a lot of these SAM installations, the radars have been destroyed by harms in the past, and there's been some seed flights that have just kind of disseminated a lot of the radar systems here. So what happens is, even though you take out the radar, there's still a missile battalion that's left. And so if you right click here, you can go status, you can see that there's SA-5 missile launchers. So even though the radar is gone, the actual launchers remain, and what the North can do is that they can bring in a replacement radar to then be able to guide these SA-5s. So for this flight we are 109, and for those of you that don't know, a flight of 4 consists of 2 elements. Okay, so you got the number 1 guy, the flight lead, you got the number 2 guy, you got the number 3 guy, which is the secondary flight lead, or the element lead, and then you have the number 4 guy. Okay, so this guy's element lead, this guy's flight lead. So they work in pairs. All right, the whole stay with your wingman thing comes from this. 1 and 2 would comprise the first element. 3 and 4 would comprise the second element. So let's say we wanted to take out targets 5 and 6. Okay, both of these at the same time. What we do is, as let's say you're the flight lead. Okay, so you're leading this flight. You right click. You're like, all right, everybody, right click, go down to status. We're taking out some SA-5s, but let's go ahead and recon it. Right click and recon the target. And what that will bring up is Titan Air Base, the air defense battalions. The first thing I like to do is just go ahead and zoom out, and the way you do that is left click and just pull back your mouse all the way up to 30,000 feet, which is the maximum altitude. Okay, and then what you can do is open up the 2 a second. So you're like, all right, everybody, we're going to open up the 2 a second here, and we're going to sort these targets. Starting at waypoint 10 is where you select your targets. Anything before that is your navigation steer point. So if you select these as a target, it's going to overwrite your flight plan, which you obviously don't want to do. Okay, so usually the flight plans don't go past 9, and I like to start at 10. So the first SA-2 will say that's 10. Second one's 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So the entire flight is going to have the same exact target steer points. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll go to the 219th, and we'll designate this as 16, 17, and 18. So it's a total of 5 plus 3. That's a total of, or actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 3. That's 9 targets total. Okay. So as a flight lead, you could say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take out the first element's going to take out the 2 a second element's going to take out the 219th, and then you can further break that down between you and your wingman. So as number 1 flight lead and my number 2, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take targets 15, 16, I'm going to take targets 10, 11, and 12, and you take 13, 14, and 15. Does that make sense? And then the 219th, you'll say, okay, second element, 3 and 4, you guys are going to take out the 219th. You're going to take out those SA-5s, and that's going to be targets 16, 17, and 18. And then the number 3 guy, the second element flight lead, can say, all right, Wingy, I'm going to take out number 16 and 17, and you're responsible for number 18. So that's how sorting works. Okay, and you effectively assign targets to every single pilot, every single SA emplacement on that airfield. So this creates a sense of redundancy. Let's say you're a great pilot, you're a great flight lead, and you take out 10, 11, 12, and then your wingman rolls in on 13, 14, and 15, and he misses 15, so he's like, I'm not getting any secondaries. There's no smoke coming from steer 15. You don't have to say, that's SA2, that's south. Look how small these targets are. As I zoom in here, you can't differentiate between a missile launcher or a truck or some other vehicle when you're up. This is at 9,000 feet, and how are you going to see that, from an angle? That tiny little dot. Okay, so instead of trying to explain it, this is south side SA2 in the heat of battle. You can just say steer 15, SAM still up, and or SAM 15 still up, and that way your wingman knows that he can attack that. Let's say you run out of cluster bombs, well, he can roll in on that target. The entire element is aware. So if you want to take this one step further, let's say you wanted to not have the entire element attack steer 5, but you wanted to break it up between steer 5 and steer 6. You can recon this target and say, all right, flight, let's recon steer 6, and that's Onjin Air Base. And what we're going to do is designate targets, 19, 20, or let me reverse here. Okay. Let's say flight lead says, all right, first element we're going to attack steer 5. Second element, you guys are going to attack steer 6. Okay. So number 3 guy is going to go, okay, wingman, we're going to recon steer 6, and our responsibility is 227 from 294th. So your second element can start at waypoint 10, and then they can start designating these 10, 11, 12, so on, and they can work as an element to take out both of these. So they'll designate all of them, and the flight lead could say, number 3 guy could say, okay, I'm going to be responsible for taking out the 227th. You're responsible for taking out the 294th. And if the elements are on different comms, let's say element 1 is on Victor 13 and element 2 is on Victor 14. They can completely independently call out target steer points relevant to themselves. Okay, and so they can sort those out. So ideally, if I was leading this flight, that's exactly what I would do. I'd say, okay, first element, you guys are responsible for steer 5. Second element, you guys are responsible for steer 6. Our loadout here is CBUs, which are Mark 20 Rockeyes, and they're unguided. Recommend that you drop them, underneath 10,000. I think I typically drop them around 3,000 or 4,000 feet in CCIP mode within a mile of the target. So you got to be very close to the target. And there are some AAA threats around the air bases. Even though there's no active SAM threats, there could be man pads down there. There could be AAA threats. So I recommend that you drop these in pairs. And with 12 CBUs on your F-16, that'll give you 6 runs to do, which is a lot for ground attack. Typically you want to do 3, but since the threat is a little bit low, you could do 6 runs, and I recommend you climb up to maybe Angels 10 or 7 at least, get back up, reorientate yourself with a new target, and then roll back in on a target, and then burn up to altitude again. And if you can't get them all, well, that's just the way it is. So that's the loadout there, and that's how you sort targets before you go out on a mission. I hope that helps. If you need to review this video, we'll be doing this on our flights, and we'll be coordinating targets. So that's the way to do that. Hope that helps, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.